Stoicism is an ancient Greek philosophical school founded around the 3rd century BCE by Zeno of Citium. This philosophy emphasizes intellectual development, resilience, and equanimity in the face of life's ups and downs. It focuses on controlling emotions and accepting what cannot be changed, thereby helping individuals achieve a peaceful and meaningful life. Stoicism originated in Greece but flourished in the Roman Empire, with prominent philosophers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Welcome to the Stoic Way. Today, let's study the root of Stoicism together. Early stage in Greece, Zeno of Citium, 334 to 262 BCE. Zeno laid the foundation for Stoicism. Born in Citium, a city on the island of Cyprus, he was initially a merchant. After a shipwreck caused him to lose all his possessions, he turned to Athens to study philosophy. Influenced by Socrates and Cynic philosophy, Zeno developed Stoic thought. He taught his philosophy in a colonnade in Athens called Stoa Poikile, painted porch, from which the name Stoicism derives. Zeno emphasized living according to nature, restraining emotions, and accepting fate. He believed that happiness stems from harmony with reason and nature, rather than from material wealth or emotions. Cleanthes, 330 to 230 BCE. Cleanthes was Zeno's successor. Initially a boxer and manual laborer, he worked hard to support himself. Though not as intellectually gifted as Zeno or Chrysippus, he was dedicated to Stoic philosophy and highly disciplined. Cleanthes preserved and spread Zeno's ideas and wrote an important work, Hymn to Zeus, which praises the universe and divine reason. Chrysippus, 279 to 206 BCE. Chrysippus further developed and systematized Stoic philosophy. As an outstanding logician, he made significant contributions to the logical foundations of Stoicism. He emphasized logic, dialectical thinking, and ethical analysis. Chrysippus believed that humans should live according to reason, as only reason allows us to control emotions and attain inner peace. Roman period. The most notable Roman Stoic philosophers helped make Stoicism more practical. Seneca, 4 BCE 65 CE. Seneca was a statesman, writer, and prominent Stoic philosopher. He served as an advisor to Emperor Nero but was later forced to commit suicide. Seneca wrote extensively on ethics and emotional management, advocating for a simple life, restraint of desires, and acceptance of what cannot be changed. He believed that philosophy should not be just theory but should be applied in everyday life. Epictetus, 50 to 135 CE. Born a slave, Epictetus was later freed and became a great philosopher. He emphasized that while humans cannot control external events, they can control how they react to them. He taught that true freedom does not lie in social status, but in mastering one's thoughts and emotions. Marcus Aurelius, 121 to 180 CE. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher. His work, Meditations, is a philosophical journal filled with reflections on ethics and life. Despite being an emperor, he lived simply and practiced resilience and responsibility. Marcus Aurelius believed that we should accept fate, do what is right, and not let external circumstances affect our emotions. Core principles of Stoicism. Stoicism is based on 4 main virtues: wisdom, understanding what is within our control and what is not. This allows individuals to make rational decisions rather than being ruled by emotions. Courage, facing adversity and challenges with determination, without being swayed by fear or suffering. Justice, acting fairly and ethically in all situations, prioritizing the common good over personal gain. Temperance, exercising self-control, avoiding greed, excessive desires, and superficial pleasures. Important lessons from Stoicism. Number 1. Focus on what you can control. According to Epictetus, life consists of 2 types of events: those within our control, our thoughts and actions, and those outside our control, weather, other people, death. We should focus only on what we can influence. Worrying or being angry over things beyond our control only leads to suffering. Number 2. Practice acceptance, amor fati. Marcus Aurelius encouraged embracing fate rather than resisting it. Amor fati means a love of fate, which implies not only accepting but also appreciating everything that happens in life, whether good or bad. This perspective helps eliminate feelings of injustice or resentment. Number 3. Build endurance. Stoicism emphasizes self-discipline through hardships to become stronger. Seneca stated, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests strength. Challenges and suffering are not enemies, but lessons that help us develop wisdom and willpower." Number 4. Reduce material desires. Stoic philosophers believe that wealth and fame do not determine happiness. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be wealthy, do not increase your income, but reduce your desires." By living simply and focusing on spiritual values, people can feel more fulfilled. Applying Stoicism to modern life. Number 1. Emotional management. In modern society, people are constantly bombarded with stressors, work deadlines, relationship conflicts, financial worries, and social media negativity. Without proper emotional regulation, these pressures can lead to anxiety, frustration, and even burnout. Stoicism offers practical techniques to manage emotions and maintain inner peace in the face of life's difficulties. Understanding the nature of emotions. Stoicism teaches that emotions are not inherently good or bad, they are simply reactions to our perceptions of events. The problem arises when we allow emotions to control us rather than the other way around. According to Stoic philosophy, negative emotions, such as anger, jealousy, and anxiety, often stem from our mistaken belief that we can control external events. When we recognize that our emotions are shaped by our judgments, we can begin to change how we respond. Epictetus said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." The pause and reflect technique. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is to pause before reacting emotionally. Instead of immediately responding to a frustrating situation, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this within my control? Will this matter in a day, a month, or a year? What is the most rational way to respond? This simple moment of reflection allows you to act with wisdom rather than impulse. Negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. Stoics practice premeditatio malorum, a mental exercise in which they imagine worst-case scenarios in advance. This helps prepare the mind for adversity so that when challenges arise, they are less shocking or distressing. For example, if you worry about losing your job, imagine what you would do if it actually happened. Would it be the end of the world, or would you find another opportunity? If you fear public speaking, visualize yourself forgetting a line. How would you recover? By mentally rehearsing difficulties, you develop emotional resilience and reduce fear of the unknown. The dichotomy of control. A key Stoic principle is distinguishing between what is within your control and what is not. You cannot control how others treat you, unexpected life events, or the economy, but you can control your thoughts, actions, and reactions. When you shift your focus to what you can control, stress and frustration diminish. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." Practicing detachment from outcomes. Much of our emotional turmoil comes from attachment to specific outcomes. We expect promotions, relationships to last, or projects to succeed, and when they don't, we feel devastated. Stoicism teaches that we should focus on doing our best and accept whatever results follow. This mindset reduces disappointment and fosters emotional stability. Journaling for emotional clarity. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote his thoughts in a personal journal, later compiled as meditations. Journaling can help you process emotions logically, identify negative thought patterns, reinforce Stoic principles in daily life. Each night, try writing down what challenged me today. How did I react? What could I have done better? This practice strengthens emotional self-awareness and improvement over time. Cultivating gratitude and perspective. Instead of dwelling on what you lack or what went wrong, Stoicism encourages gratitude for what you have. Even in difficult times, there is something to appreciate: health, loved ones, the ability to think and learn. A simple shift in perspective can transform emotional responses from frustration to contentment. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Emotional management is not about suppressing emotions but mastering them through self-awareness and rational thinking. By practicing these Stoic techniques, you can develop greater emotional resilience, reduce stress, and navigate life's challenges with a calm and balanced mind. Instead of being controlled by emotions, you become the master of your own inner world. Number 2, facing failure. Failure is an inevitable part of life. Whether it's failing an exam, losing a job, experiencing a breakup, or struggling with a personal goal, setbacks can be painful. However, Stoicism teaches that failure is not something to be feared or avoided, but rather embraced as an opportunity for growth. By changing how we perceive failure, we can turn setbacks into stepping stones towards success and resilience. Failure is just an event, not an identity. One of the most common mistakes people make is equating failure with personal worth. If we fail at something, we may feel like we are failures. Stoicism reminds us that failure is simply an event, something that happens, not something that defines us. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The dichotomy of control: let go of what you can't change. Failure often leads to frustration because we focus on factors outside our control, what others think, unexpected circumstances, or bad luck. The Stoic solution is to separate what we can control from what we cannot. What you can control: your effort and preparation, how you react to setbacks, what you learn from the experience. What you cannot control: the outcome itself, other people's opinions, external circumstances. By focusing on actions rather than outcomes, we shift from a mindset of defeat to one of resilience. Reframing failure as feedback. Instead of seeing failure as something negative, Stoicism encourages us to view it as valuable feedback. Each failure contains lessons that can help us improve. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? What mistakes did I make, and how can I correct them? How can I approach things differently next time? Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Failure, then, is not the end. It is simply a teacher that helps us refine our approach. Practicing amor fati, loving fate. Even in failure, the Stoic concept of amor fati, Latin for a love of fate, teaches us to not just accept failure but to embrace it. Instead of resisting setbacks, we should view them as necessary parts of our journey. Marcus Aurelius said, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Failure can be seen as fuel for growth. If we use it wisely, it can make us stronger, wiser, and more prepared for future challenges. Pre-failure preparation, the power of negative visualization. The Stoics often practiced premeditatio malorum, negative visualization, in which they imagined possible failures before they happened. This does not mean expecting failure, but rather preparing for it mentally, so that if it does occur, it does not come as a shock. For example, if you're preparing for a big exam, imagine failing it. How would you handle it? What could you do differently? If you're starting a new project, consider what obstacles might arise. How can you prepare for them in advance? By mentally rehearsing failure, we reduce the emotional impact if it happens and increase our ability to respond rationally. Resilience, getting back up. The Stoics believe that resilience, the ability to keep going despite setbacks, is one of the most important virtues. When faced with failure, the key is to stand back up and keep moving forward. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. If you fall 7 times, get up 8. View each failure as a temporary setback, not a final defeat." Even great historical figures like Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, succeeded because they refused to quit. Detachment from ego, humility and failure. Many people fear failure because of their ego. They worry about how they will be perceived by others. Stoicism teaches humility. Failure does not make you less of a person, and success does not make you superior. By detaching from ego, we can handle failure with grace rather than embarrassment. Seneca said, "He who fears death will never do anything worth of a living man." If you avoid failure out of fear, you also avoid growth. True success comes from taking risks and learning along the way. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is a necessary part of it. By applying Stoic principles, we can transform failure from something painful into something valuable. Instead of fearing setbacks, we can welcome them as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The key is to detach from outcomes, embrace challenges, and always get back up when we fall. Number 3. Practicing minimalism, finding freedom in simplicity. In today's world, we are bombarded with advertisements, social media, and cultural expectations that equate happiness with material possessions. The Stoics, however, believe that true happiness comes not from accumulating wealth or status, but from cultivating inner peace and self-mastery. They encouraged a minimalist lifestyle, not just in terms of physical possessions, but also in thoughts, emotions, and commitments. The illusion of more, why materialism fails to satisfy. Many people chase money, luxury, and possessions, believing that these things will bring lasting happiness. However, Stoicism teaches that external things are unreliable sources of fulfillment. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Luxury can become a trap. The more we acquire, the more we fear losing it. Instead of enjoying what we have, we constantly seek more, leading to stress, dissatisfaction, and even anxiety. Stoicism offers a different approach, seeking contentment with less. Voluntary discomfort, training for a life of simplicity. One powerful Stoic practice is voluntary discomfort, where we intentionally expose ourselves to temporary discomfort to remind ourselves that we don't need excess to be happy. Some examples: sleeping on the floor instead of a bed for a night, fasting or eating simple foods for a day, wearing plain clothes instead of fashionable ones, avoiding unnecessary spending for a week. Seneca said, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" This practice helps us reduce fear of loss. By experiencing less, we realize we don't need much to be happy. Increase resilience. If hard times come, we'll already be prepared. Appreciate what we have. After experiencing discomfort, we become more grateful for the basics. Reducing mental clutter, the minimalist mind. Minimalism isn't just about owning fewer things, it's also about decluttering the mind. Many people fill their mental space with worries, social media, distractions, and overcommitment, leading to stress and anxiety. A Stoic minimalist approach includes limiting distractions, reducing unnecessary digital consumption, like mindless scrolling on social media, focusing on priorities, saying no to commitments that don't align with your values, practicing stillness, taking time to reflect, meditate, or simply be in the present moment. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By simplifying our thoughts and commitments, we create space for deeper thinking, creativity, and peace of mind. True wealth comes from needing less. The Stoics believe that the richest person is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least. Instead of chasing luxury, they focused on inner wealth, virtue, wisdom, and self-control. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." To apply this in modern life, ask yourself before buying something, do I really need this, or is it just a temporary desire? Prioritize quality over quantity, fewer but meaningful possessions. Shift your focus from material wealth to mental and emotional richness. The joy of simplicity. Many people assume minimalism is about deprivation, but in reality, it frees us. When we remove excess, we gain clarity, peace, and appreciation for the simple joys in life, nature, deep conversations, and personal growth. Seneca said, "If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you will never be rich." By embracing a simpler life, we reduce stress, increase contentment, and gain the ultimate freedom, the ability to live on our own terms. Minimalism, as taught by Stoicism, is not about rejecting material things altogether. It's about detaching from their control. By practicing voluntary discomfort, simplifying our thoughts, and finding joy in simplicity, we cultivate resilience, gratitude, and true happiness. In the end, the less we desire, the freer we become. Number 4. Personal responsibility. A Stoic individual does not blame circumstances or others, but takes responsibility for their own life. This mindset fosters independence and inner strength. Understanding personal responsibility in Stoicism. Stoicism teaches that we are fully responsible for our own lives. This means not blaming circumstances, fate, or other people for our problems. Recognizing that while we cannot control external events, we can control our reactions. Instead of complaining, focusing on practical actions to improve our situation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Freedom and independent thinking. When you stop blaming others or external factors, you achieve mental freedom. If you blame others, that means you make yourself a victim, dependent on their actions. If you take responsibility, that means you empower yourself to improve and grow without waiting for external change. Epictetus emphasized this idea. We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. Developing inner strength. Taking responsibility doesn't just make you independent, it builds inner strength. When faced with hardship, you don't retreat, you look for solutions. You don't complain, you adapt and learn. You understand that challenges are inevitable, but your response to them is what truly matters. Seneca put it this way, "Master yourself, and you will master your destiny." Practical applications in daily life. When you fail, instead of blaming others or making excuses, ask, "What can I do better next time?" When someone treats you poorly, don't let emotions control you, but think, "How should I respond wisely?" When life feels unfair, don't dwell on frustration, but focus on what you can change. Taking personal responsibility is the first step toward true freedom, strength, and inner peace. It shifts you from being a victim of circumstances to the master of your own life. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, rise up and do what needs to be done. Stop blaming others. In the end, Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or ignoring hardship. It's about mastering your mind and taking responsibility for your life. Challenges will come, but your power lies in how you respond to them. So, embrace each moment with wisdom, resilience, and a calm mind, because in the face of adversity, true strength is found within. If you found this content helpful, please like the video and subscribe to this channel. Let's continue learning and practicing Stoicism together to master ourselves. This is the Stoic way. Thank you for listening.